Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Heal with Kat podcast. My name is Kat, and I am your host, and I am so excited to welcome you to this week's episode where I will be answering all of your questions that you've sent to me through Instagram, YouTube, even emails that I've received of those of you who have been committed community members of the Heal with Kat podcast and have questions about what this information is that I share, how it can apply to your life, and so much more. If you are new here, welcome. Like I said, my name is Kat. I'm a family constellation therapy facilitator, and my entire job is helping you heal how your family's trauma has created patterns of beliefs, behaviors, fears, actions, choices, and they're showing up in your life, and you're kind of carrying them on your back when you don't really need to. If you're not new here, welcome back to the community. Thank you so much for being here. You guys are rating, subscribing, reviewing the podcast, and it is helping leaps and bounds in terms of the success of the podcast, the engagement, the way that it's being shared, the algorithm, other people finding this work. And just supporting me in general. It means so, so much. I put so much time and effort and heart into these podcasts to share this information with you. A lot of the time I'm channeling this information. And so it feels really good that it can be supportive for you and through that supportive for others as well. So this week is going to be a little bit of a different podcast episode because it's mostly just answering your questions, but I did want to provide a little bit of like a life update of what's been going on and also an energetic read for the month of July, because if you follow me on Instagram, I posted this a couple of weeks ago. A lot of us have been through some pretty intense collective energy in the last month. A lot of loss, a lot of tower moments, a lot of things falling apart so things can come back together. Lots of people losing their jobs, breakups, or just so many different things that I've been hearing, feeling, seeing, knowing happening in the world and in my community with my clients. A lot of us in the last couple of weeks have been faced at a fork in the road of timeline shifting. And I talk more about this on my Instagram. It's one of my more recent ones. You can see the title of it on my Instagram page. I'll link it in the show notes, where many of us have been faced with a choice to either choose a path forward from love or a path forward from fear. And we've been staring that choice in the face for a while. And so I'll kind of get into the read of July's energy and just where things have been lately, because if you feel like there's just been a lot and the energy has been heavy and things have been confusing since the eclipse that happened in about April or May, I think it was April this year, you're not alone. You're not alone. And many of us have been feeling it in small ways and in big ways. It just kind of depends on where we're at in life and the way that we move through that energy. So first little update I'm going to share with you. A lot of you have been asking me about an update for the SIBO and healing SIBO. I am about 11 weeks into healing SIBO now, although I really actually started back in March officially on my own before I even got the results of SIBO. I knew intuitively something was going on. So I started doing no gluten, no dairy, no sugar, and celery juicing back in March. April is kind of when I got diagnosed with SIBO, and then from May until now. So actually it's been way more than 11 weeks. It's been a long time. Gosh, I don't even know why I thought 11 weeks, maybe because it's been 11 weeks since I saw my doctor. But yeah, I've been doing a lot since then. So it's been like 3 months actually, which is quite a lot. And what I can say now is that although I don't have any scientific data behind any of this, a lot of the stuff that I do with my body is intuitive. A lot of the symptoms that I knew were related to SIBO have subsided. No gluten, no dairy, keeping inflammation really low in the body. No refined sugars, no cane sugar. It's been stevia, coconut sugar, or fruit, just to kind of ease the production of bacterial growth in the lower intestine. I've been meditating a lot recently and just calming my nervous system down. I'm back into lifting weights and doing all the things that I did. And someone recently said to me, if you have SIBO, like I really wouldn't lift weights. But for me, I follow and I work out according to my cycle. So in my follicular phase. I lift the heaviest. I do some cardio with my workouts. I bump that up and push myself a little bit harder around my ovulatory phase with those few days, 5 days ish. And then once I hit my luteal phase, I start to taper off the heavy weights. I incorporate maybe some workouts with, like, let's just say I'll do Bulgarian split squats. Like, I'll do them without weights, and I kind of just start to ease into it. And now I'm on the cusp of getting my cycle, my period starting like within the next couple of days. And I've just been walking. So that's how I work with my body. And I've noticed that doing that more while healing SIBO has been really, really supportive. I can feel that my body is trying to work with me instead of me working against what my body actually needs, which has been beautiful. I'm still taking all the natural supplements. I had to stop taking oil of oregano for like a month. Well, I didn't have to. I chose to, which probably wasn't the greatest idea because that's what's the antimicrobial that's helping. It's like the antibiotic that I'm taking really to help my digestive system and my gut. But it was really hurting me. It just did not feel good. I would feel very, very weak and sick after. And I had been doing it for 2 months, and I was like, okay, I'll just take June off. I noticed some inflammation coming back. So I started taking the oil of oregano again, and it really does work. It really, really does. So I'm back on it, just like a much lower dose. Instead of 7 drops a day, I'm doing like 3. I only take it at night with dinner, with food, and right like when I know I'm going to go to bed in a few hours so that I don't have to exert any energy. I think the craziest thing about healing SIBO has been just the emotional component to healing SIBO, because what I learned for myself is that SIBO and gut issues are something I've had my whole life. Of course, there are food things, bacterial things, antibiotic related things. Like I got scarlet fever when I was 5, and the doctor thinks that that may have something to do with throwing off my gut lining, and then a bunch of years with streptococcus, like strep throat, and taking antibiotics. So just like there's that component. But I think the emotional component for me is also just the themes around the solar plexus and the womb. Like the sacral and the solar plexus are the 2 places that are affected by SIBO the most. And it's all about like feminine personal power, trusting yourself, having boundaries. Where are your boundaries? Do you honor your boundaries? Do you trust yourself when you need boundaries? Like, how do you use your energy? All that kind of stuff. So I've been really using my energy in different ways the last couple of months. I have been taking a lot of time away from socializing. I've been very introverted. I've been working on my business like crazy, you guys. Krista Ripma, who is my business coach from Authentic Audience, has been just pushing me in the best way. Like, I cannot complain. My business is literally about to transform. I don't even know what's going to happen when I launch all of this stuff. I have actually a little sneak peek. I have something launching this week. So if you're listening to this on Tuesday, July, like, what is it going to be, 9th? I have a little freebie, which I'm going to announce at the end of this episode. But yeah, I've just been working so much that like it's been really interesting to kind of redesign my energy and rework my energy. So that's actually why I started meditating again. I downloaded the Superhuman app by Mimi Bouchard, and I also do Lisa Beachy's free meditations on YouTube. I'll link that in the show notes for you so you can take advantage of using those tools for yourself. But every day, sometimes twice a day, I'm meditating, and it's not this like long like life-changing meditation. Sometimes it's like 10 minutes in the morning, or like 6 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at night. And it just does enough to regulate my body so that I can get into rest and digest mode. And then I'm not holding on to a bunch of stress in my gut. So there's that with the SIBO. I have a doctor's appointment actually coming up this week that I'm really excited about, because she's going to help me go transition into phase 2, taking digestive enzymes and introducing new supplements. And I don't think I'm going to bring gluten and dairy back into my diet, honestly, while I live in the US. I just don't feel comfortable getting behind a diet like that here. I don't believe that the food here is supportive enough for my body. However, Tyler and I are traveling for an extended period of time in August. We're going to be traveling in Europe with my family. So I will definitely be eating all the gluten and dairy there. I mean, I'll probably ease up on sugar just because sugar is sugar, but gluten and dairy, I'm not going to hold back. If I want a pizza, I'm going to have a pizza, and still going to be eating meat there for all my people who know the carnivore side of me. But yeah, I'm really excited. And I think we just need a big break, which, I guess I'll transition into the reading of July's energy, but this month really feels like a opportunity to, and the way that spirit shows me is like tucking ourselves into bed. This feels very collective. It just feels like there's an opportunity to get really quiet, to go inward, to reestablish or redesign what's important to us. This is the middle of the year. Like, we are literally in the middle of the year. July 31st is exactly the middle of the year. And so, we just have an opportunity to really check in with how the last 6 months have gone, how we want the next 6 months to go. And when I look at the energy of the whole year, I kind of see that, like, since the eclipse in April, it shook us. It was kind of that new energy, new year energy, new astrological energy for the year. Here's our intentions. Here's what we want, and then the ball started rolling and then rolling and then rolling. June rocked a lot of people. June was a very tumultuous month. A lot of us went through losses, tower moments, like I said, these moments where we just were at a fork in the road. Like, what do we choose? And from what place do we make these decisions? From fear or from our hearts? And many of us were faced with quieting the ego and doing what was best for love, really, at the end of the day. A lot of us had to make a lot of difficult decisions in June. We had to get clear on what we really want, how we want that to go, and what direction do we want our lives to go in. And then for those of you who are listening, because this came up on my Instagram post, some of you commented and said, well, it's the end of June and I feel like that chaotic, heavy energy is here, but I don't really know what decision I have to make. Just give it some time. Someone just recently commented and said, I got laid off on my job and I feel so much more relieved and I'm really, really happy. It's like, great, that's amazing. Like, congratulations. Not congratulations, you lost your job, but congratulations on the redirection, right? Like, June was just a lot of making difficult choices. Where do we make our choices from? And then being redirected. I know I felt that for myself. And many of people in my life felt that as well. So July's energy is kind of asking us to pause. It's asking us to say, you went through this crazy energetic directional change and big changes in your life in May and June. How are you going to nurture or nourish yourself in July? How are you going to recharge your battery and fill yourself up with the things that you need? Because in all honesty and truth, without any fear, after July, it feels like August starts like this ramping up of energy again. And then September, October, and November, for many reasons, personally, politically, economically, spiritually, in all ways, it feels like things ramp up again. And it feels like nothing bad is going to happen to anyone. It's just that we're going to be faced with the energy of more choices, especially if you didn't make a choice of some kind in June. It's almost spirit is saying like there's a mirror of like, you're going to have to look in that mirror again in like October and be like, oh shit, I never made a decision about this, or I never really took advantage of using this energy back in June. You're getting like a second chance to do it in October. And so I just think that if there's any advice that I can give about utilizing your energy in July, it's rest, recharge, rest, and recharge more. Like, really, just if you want to take a solo vacation, if you want to go to the spa twice a month this month instead of just once, or if you need to go on more solo walks and be in your own energy, if you want to start meditating, maybe you meditate every day for 5 minutes in July. I know we're already 9 days as of today into the month, but better late than never. So just be mindful of where your energy goes this month. Don't overextend yourself too much. If you tend to people please or maybe break your own energetic or physical, emotional boundaries because the ego wants to go party or do something fun or get a little dopamine hit from like something that seems temporarily cool, just like check in with yourself and see if that's actually something that your body really needs. Because what you don't want to do is overexert yourself in July, and then you're hit with more energy August, September, October into a little bit of November, and then you're burnt out. No one wants to go through that. So just be mindful of that, and notice that if you have a lot of ego resistance again around that, because I do personally, make it fun. Make your alone time fun. Like, don't force yourself to do something you don't want to do. Like for me, today, I need to record this podcast episode because I have a responsibility and a duty to my community and to myself and to my business that I need to stay consistent. And I love doing the podcast. Like, obviously, I wouldn't be here if I didn't love it, but I'm going to do this. And then after this, I'm going to go make a smoothie, sit on the couch, and I'm going to rewatch the Celine Dion documentary. And I'm going to text my best friend while we both watch it at the same time, because I need to like recharge my energy, but I'm going to do it in a way that feels fun. Also, like I love going and walking around Sloan's Lake here in Denver and like putting on Jesus music, which is like my new thing, and listening to like Cece Winans as she like sings these beautiful songs. And I just like let myself enjoy being in my own energy. Or maybe it's that I go get a solo dinner or whatever it is. Make it fun, make it enjoyable. And many times when I need to like recharge my energy and go inwards and I'm having resistance, I tap into my inner child. And my inner child is so happy when she has a home cooked meal, gets in her PJs after a nice warm shower, snuggles in some cozy blankets and pillows, and puts on a Disney movie. Yes, I'm 33 years old and I still do that shit. Why? Because it makes me feel good, because I love it, because I feel as though I'm recharging myself. So, whatever your inner child likes to do, that's fun, that also is relaxing and rejuvenating, lean into it for July. Like Spirit keeps showing us, like putting a little kid to bed, let that little inner child in you rest, rejuvenate, and recharge. So that's the energy of July. If you know me, you know me. I'm not about fear. I'm not about instilling fear. And I'm not like a professional energy reader of astrology. Actually, none of the energy reading I do is really based on astrology. I'm not a professional at it. But I do know that Spirit is saying, things are going to ramp up again at the end of the year. It's going to be especially because of the political climate. So just be mindful of how you use your energy. And it feels like some of you may actually reconnect with your inner child in a way this month that you haven't in a very long time, and you needed it. And it's going to be like I needed to do that for myself. And it just becomes a part of your practice. So don't forget that. Don't forget to take care of yourself, because it feels like things are going to keep going this year. Alrighty, so let's get into your questions. All right, so there's a bunch of different kinds of questions, and I'm just going to kind of speak from the heart. I don't really have anything planned, to be honest. So I'll just jump right into it. Let me find that. Here we go. Okay. So this question, there's actually one big paragraph that I was sent on Instagram but from a very loyal listener who I'm so grateful. Thank you for asking this question. It's phenomenal. If you're new here, some of this information might not land because you're new to family constellation therapy. So if that's the case, go back to episode number 52, where I go into an hour and a half of what is family constellation therapy, and some of this stuff might start to make sense. Also, I recommend, based on this question that I'm reading right now, go listen to, and I don't remember, I think it's maybe 45. It's when someone dies early in your family. That's going to tie into this question I'm already reading here. So cue those on your listen on Spotify, Apple, or YouTube, because they are going to help you understand how I'm going to respond to this first question. So I'll kind of break this one up into a few parts. So the question says, I've thought of another topic that I don't see on your podcast list, at least not extensively: how the family system of your partner and your spouse can affect you and the family unit as you're healing. So I'm going to answer that one first. In the episode where I talk about when someone dies early in your family, I give the example of my mentor's grandmother who died early, meaning under 55 years old. That's what we call an early death in family constellation therapy. Someone who doesn't get to live the full capacity of their life. a drunk driver hit her and ended her life early. And so that person that hit her, who's not in her family system, kind of gets enmeshed in the family system because he was the reason that her life ended, right? These are the ways that other people outside of our family system can impact the way that our family system vibration works and the way that we function. This also happens with marriage or half kids, step kids. So just know that like every family system is like a vibration of energy, and other people can affect that. So your partner or your spouse can absolutely affect you and the family unit that you're in as you're healing, but not as much as you would think. We're going to look at it in a very, I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. When you're in a relationship with someone, a healthy relationship, to me, this is just my personal belief, is that a healthy relationship looks like a Venn diagram. You've got one person with one foot in their circle and one foot in the relationship that you share with the other person who's got one foot in their own circle and one foot in the relationship. So the middle circle is the relationship, the outside circles are the individual people, and they've got basically their feet like this. That's a healthy energy relationship, in my opinion. You still have your own healthy individuation and autonomy of who you are as a person, but you also put your energy, your love, and your time into somebody that you share your life with. So when you're in a relationship with someone, you're both coming into the relationship with your own baggage, potentially healed or unhealed traumas. And of course, we subconsciously many times will choose a partner that mirrors or reflects the things that we still need to heal. You can have a very healthy relationship and still pick a partner like this. It's just the way that we are internally looking for resolution from the things that we're still carrying subconsciously in our minds. And it's also things that we're used to. So we're used to certain patterns of behavior. So we kind of choose partners based off of what we're used to. Again, not always conscious. So in a relationship with a partner, and let's just say it sounds like you've got a healthy relationship. You and your partner have your own stuff, and sometimes that stuff comes into the relationship. Your partner does something and it triggers something from your childhood, or you say something and then that triggers your partner from their childhood. And it's not like you're trying to hurt the other person. It just is. These are the ways that our families can be affected, or we can be affected by our partner's family's stuff. The people that we invite into our life, the partners we choose, the friends we have, the communities, the roommates we live in, the friends, the colleagues, the jobs, like everything. These people have their own vibration. They come from their own family system of their own stuff. And then because we share this intimate connection with each other, emotionally, physically, spiritually, yeah, there are moments where like it's going to rub up against each other. It just means that there's a exchange of energy happening. This is why energetic hygiene is very, very, very important. Always cleanse your energy, always send back what's not yours, always call back your energy. And it's possible too, and we're kind of getting into a different area here with this, with energy, but it's possible too that if you're very highly sensitive, empathetic, and you work with energy and you are parentified for any reason with your parents, or you're in patterns or dynamics of like overly caregiving or taking on things that are not yours, then you have to be careful, because what can happen energetically, and this happens to me sometimes, is you start to take on the energy of other people. I'll take it for you. It seems too heavy. I'll carry this burden for you so that you don't have to go through this because it looks really painful for you. If you know my work well, you know that we do this with our parents. This is the thing, this is how we start to carry our parents' pain. One of the ways, at least, because one of the ways is that it's something is done to us and we carry the pain from them by the way they treat us. The other ways is out of survival, when we see that our parents are not well enough to take care of themselves. So we start kind of being like, oh, I'm going to feel that way too, because then we're connected through that. And that's a way that we can kind of stay alive together. And again, some of this stuff is really hard to conceptualize, but it's just the subconscious ways that we try to stay in connection with others. So if you notice that your mom was always sick and she wasn't able to take care of herself, and then she wasn't able to take care of you or show up for you, then maybe you started realizing that if you make yourself sick too with your thoughts, your beliefs, the way you take care of yourself or lack thereof, then you start to bond with mom over the fact that you don't take care of yourselves. And then all of a sudden you're in this enmeshed relationship. And then you wake up one day and you're like, I'm really sick and or I don't have healthy beliefs, or I don't know how to take care of myself, because you are trying to stay in a survival connection with your mom. Family constellation therapy helps you become your own healthy individual, have mom take back her stuff, you come and take back yours, and then you kind of get to be your own person in relationship with your mom. So, same thing with your partners. If you notice that you start taking on their energy, you're then going to be taking on the energy of the stuff from their family system that they're projecting through their actions, their emotions, their words, or whatever. But it's always important to make sure you're in your own energy. And then the way that you can be there for your partner is supportive. And that's, I think, the important part, is that if you find yourself constantly enmeshed in your partner's stuff, know your place, take a step back, get some space, cleanse your energy, reconnect with your boundaries. And then the way that you know you can be in connection with your partner instead of enmeshment is just support and love. Hey, sounds like you're having a rough day. Do you need someone to talk to? If they say no, well, I'm here if you need anything. And then being secure in that. I think a lot of times, like many of us that struggle with anxious attachment, we're always looking for enmeshment for safety and connection. And we don't always have to do that. So I think that's going to answer your question. I think, you can heal I'll say it this way. If someone has had a very deep impact on you from another family system, whether it's through a partner, whether it's through an abuse of some kind, whether it's through anything, you can't heal it. Nothing is unhealable. We didn't come here to this earth in these bodies with this connection to source and all of this to not be able to heal things. Now, how much time it takes, how much work it takes to heal things, that's a personal progress, but it's possible to heal it. It just might take some time, some more awareness. And it's important to have your own sense of autonomy and really understand where you may be and how you may be enmeshed with things with other people. So I'm going to pause there because I could go on a tangent. I hope that's helpful. The comment below that ends up going into something around, she says, I heard on one episode how another person can become enmeshed in your family system by doing something strongly to affect the family system. I'm also really curious on how we take on baggage and trauma that's occurring in our spouse's family system as well. So I think I answered that for the most part. She sends this great Instagram video that I'll link in the show notes. It's a interview with Lewis Howes, I think is his name. And this therapist is saying you will meet people at the same psychological level as you, AKA you'll attract people in your life based on your own wounds. And as you start to heal and grow, if they don't heal and grow with you, then the connection kind of pulls away. And she talks about how if you're in a relationship with someone and you both start healing and growing together, but you have extensive trauma running through the family lines, you're both going to be affected by each other's stuff. And that is true. But I think I think I explained that, how, if you find yourself enmeshed with your partner's stuff, really at the end of the day, it's about creating healthy separation, being in your own autonomous energy. You can be interdependent with your partner, but not independent, hyper independent, or enmeshed. Like, you got to find that like Venn diagram. Okay. Like, I'm going to stick by that until the day that I die. A healthy relationship is like two people standing in a Venn diagram, one foot in themselves, one foot in the middle in the relationship, finding balance, know what's yours and know what's not. Now, energetically, it's sometimes really hard to understand what's ours and what's not, because we may share a similar wound. Both me and my partner share a wound of abandonment. However, his shows up very differently than mine. However, it is an abandonment wound at the end of the day. So just be mindful of that. This is a wound of abandonment happening right now. This is how his is showing up. This is how mine is showing up. What do we need? And that is about growing with your partners, understanding and learning about your partner as you're in a relationship with them. You can't expect to know everything about your partner within like the first 2 or 3 years of a relationship. You're never going to know everything about your partner for the rest of your life, because as you grow, they are growing and becoming different people too. And the point or the hope in a relationship, and this is what they say in vows in a wedding, is that the hope is that no matter what happens, thick and thin, whatever it is, you just keep growing together. That's the hope, right? And that's where the work is. The work is committing to the partner, committing to growth, showing up for them, being loving, and being open and willing to hear them, see them, feel them, and help them meet their needs while also doing it for yourself. And that's why relationships are not a cakewalk. They're not a walk in the park. It's really not. It's a initiation of deep sorts to be in a healthy and loving relationship. And I think the healthier the relationship, more sometimes you're really faced with the deeper the healing, because we all have wounds. Every single family system has something. We will never meet a perfect family, a perfect person. Everyone's going to have a thing that they're going to work on. As I learned in my past life regression therapy, we all have soul core wounds that show up and mimic our human core wounds. So we're all trying to evolve and grow and work on things. I think at the end of the day, like, what the most romantic thing to me is not "I love you," because love is universal. And yes, you share this deep love with that person, and saying "I love you" it's a sign of affection. I love you. Like, I do. I care about you. I want you to know. But really, the most romantic thing to me is I choose you, because in a world full of different options of people with different wounds and different bodies and different souls, you decide to choose on one person that you're going to do life with. And that's beautiful to me. Just be mindful of your boundaries, your energy, and where you may show up and mesh with certain things that maybe are not your things to try to fix. Because it is possible to be in a relationship with someone who comes from a difficult family system and not overly enmesh yourself and stuff. Okay, let's see. Next question. Do you do your own FCT on yourself? So in my training, I was taught how to do family constellation therapies on myself with the papers. I know how to open the field. The way that you use the papers is a little bit different, where how you write the numbers, because obviously I assign who's who on the papers. So I kind of have to do it in a more hidden way, where I have to take like a light pencil and write it on the top of the paper and then flip it around so I can't see it, shuffle the papers and put them down. It's the same way that I would do it with you, except it's just more hidden. It's not so obvious what paper is what. And then as I'm, standing on the papers, I'm writing down, okay, I'm standing on this one in the middle. What is this one? And then this one in the top left, because I don't have numbers to refer to. So I can totally do them on myself. And I've done it maybe 2 or 3 times. And it was a moment of like deep desperation. Like, I was having a little bit of like a spiritual emergency, and I was like, I need something right now. Other than that, I try not to feed into the spiritual emergencies that I feel that I have, knowing that I have such anxious attachment and anxious tendencies. If something feels like a spiritual emergency, I have other tools to help me navigate through things. But I definitely could do FCTs on my own. I've even done things before where like I don't do like the whole spiel of like opening the field and doing the whole breath work and writing down what each paper is and talking it out sometimes. And I've done this actually more. I've probably done this like 5 or 6 times. Is I'll just take my notebook, I'll ask spirits permission to open the field. I'll open the field, I'll call in my ancestors, and I'll write down, this is number 1, this is who this is. This is number 2, this is who this is. Mix them up, do the numbers on the back of the paper, mix them up, put them on the floor, quick information. Or sometimes I'll put, this is number 1, this is number 2, and actually stand on them. Like, I won't even try to discover information. I'll just stand on them in the new form. And I'll just be like, okay, we just need healing statements right now. And I'll just channel healing statements to that person and talk to them. So there have been moments where I do that. I never do anything without spirit's permission, to be honest. Like, if something's, if I want to do something like that, where I just want to do a quick one in like 5 minutes, I'll always kind of just ask for permission. Can I open the field? Is this in my highest and best good? And if it's not, I'll kind of feel in my heart like, ooh, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe like it's a no. I kind of get this like heavy energy, like, no, don't do it. And then if it's in my highest and best good, or it could be helpful in any way, it'll feel more open in my chest. But I really like doing FCTs with my friend Julie. I love her wisdom and her guidance and her ability to connect. And we have done so many FCTs together in almost the last 2 years that I feel like she knows me so well that our energies just flow with each other in the field. And I really like getting feedback. I'm a really verbal processor. I like to talk about things, probably why I like having a podcast, probably also why sometimes I ramble on certain things, because my brain just keeps going and going and going. But I like to verbally process things with people. And sometimes it's lacking that oomph for me in an FCT when I do it on my own. And a lot of times when I'm doing FCTs with Julie, I need someone else's perspective. I need someone else's guidance. That is my answer to that question. All right, let's move on to the next one. How is the integration process, or how long is the integration process? So I'm guessing this is for family constellation therapy. So if you're new here and you're listening to this, family constellation therapy with me is a 2-hour process. The first hour is like talk therapy, where we're basically just talking about you, your family, your childhood, your parents' childhoods. We're looking for patterns, beliefs, fears. We're looking for what traumas affected what. We're already talking kind of back into the family system. Was there war? Was there immigration? What happened with money? What happened with this baby? We're kind of going back a little bit to see if we can get to the root cause of how it's showing up in you, all of this unhealed trauma. So we do that in the first half. And then in the second half, we're on the papers, we're in the energy field. That's where things can get really intense. The body's going through a lot of channeling, specifically your body, since you're standing on the papers. And then we do the healing statements. So the integration process is in a reflection of what happens kind of in that second part of the session where we do the energy work. And the integration process, I tell clients, it could be up to 2 weeks. You need to let what resonates stay. Like whatever you remember from that session is what you're either meant to carry forward with you or carry into another session or keep thinking about healing. Like there's still, there's always going to be something available to you after the session. But whatever you don't remember, you can trust that it's integrated, it's processed, it's been healed, and it's been received. The integration process is based on that second half of the session, how intense it is. Some people, after their first session, second sessions, when they're just getting used to what this work is like, they could get really tired afterwards and very groggy and feel very like they need a lot of space and they just need to cuddle up and cry or cuddle up on the bed and just kind of like tend to their inner child. Sometimes they get a burst of energy and they feel on top of the world and just filled with light and healing and love. And they just go on a big walk, or like they're just get a burst of energy. So it kind of just depends. I've had both. I've had more of the tiresome needing rest than the big energetic moments, but they're still both beautiful and they both help us integrate in different ways. It just kind of depends on what we work on too. Also, if I throw a chakra in there for your session as well, that chakra center might need a little bit more love, nurturing, healing. I always say drink a lot of water after to help cleanse what's ready to go. Remember, energy can create density in the body, which is what trauma is. So just heal the body, tend to the body, and help the body really process out what's meant to go, because the energy is so connected to that. And you're using your body as an energetic antenna for the things that are happening in the session, being on the papers and channeling information about your family or whatever it is. So there's a lot of magic in it. There's a lot of also human basic needs that we have to remember in the integration process as well. All right, next question. What did your progress look like over the last 3 years? So I discovered family constellation therapy 3 years ago at one of the lowest points of my life. It was one of the most suffocating points of my life, energetically, physically, emotionally, where I basically was losing the motivation to live. I thought to myself that if life was this heavy, this depressing, this sad, and this difficult and challenging, I didn't want to know what it would be like in my 50s and my 60s. And I was 27 at the time, or 28. And so I spent a lot of time in mental health issues, a lot of time struggling with my physical health and struggling with love, struggling with dating. Just every area of my life felt impossible. The only part of my life that at that time that really felt successful was my work, but I was like married to my work after my divorce around this same time. And from the outside, my life looked really cool, but on the inside, it was lacking something for me. It was lacking purpose. It was fulfilling in a way, but it wasn't reaching the depths of what I felt I was here to do. And I had known from a young age, around like 13, that I was here to help people. I just didn't know how I was going to do that. So that's where I started, is a really low place. And as I started healing the pain, and I would show up to my family constellation therapy sessions with my mentor Carrie, and we were building a connection, and she was getting to know me, I started realizing that a lot of the ways that I was carrying the ancestral pain was through the mental health issues. It was through the physical issues. It was through my patterns of dating. It was through all these blocks that I was experiencing in my life. And so as we addressed each part of my life and tried to find the ancestral root cause to it, I started realizing that I didn't have the worst childhood in the world, but it certainly wasn't easy emotionally. It was mostly emotional. But the ways that it was difficult and challenging were all of the ways that the trauma of the past had just been continuing into me, and it was all unhealed. So as I started addressing it, certain parts of my life would the light would go on a little bit, and I would kind of see, oh, there's hope here. Or gosh, maybe life isn't so terrible. My mental health drastically improved after even my first family constellation. I started to really look into different things around that time, like attachment theory for dating. I started turning on my intuition again and connecting with spirit, understanding what my purpose was more. And I just did it so obsessively that the amount of growth that I had in 2021, I feel I timeline jumped like every month. I was just growing at an insane rate. And I recently had someone tell me that they feel that I'm technically, what I'm doing today is what my soul had planned for me in 5 years from now, but I just move through things so quickly. And I think that's what it means to call back your life force energy. Is as I started to heal all the ancestral stuff that was weighing me down, I would reconnect to more life force energy, more of my soul's energy, more of my true self. And once I got a taste of that after 30 something years or 20 something years of not having that, it was like a caged animal that just like came out and was like, I'm going to do whatever I can to like, and it became a little obsessive, like the healing, the growing, the researching, the amount of money that I've spent on investing in myself. Like it's been a little obsessive, and I've had to tone it down a lot in the last like 2 years, especially having a new relationship in the last 2 years. It's helped me redirect a lot of my energy. It helped me slow down. But man, those like 2020 to 2022, like right in the middle of 2022, I was unstoppable. But it was because I finally had energy to do it. I finally had the inspiration, the motivation, and the energy to live my life. And I had never had that before. So it was a blessing. So the progress really looked like, rock bottom. And then just kind of this like straight shot up to like reconnecting with the truest part of who I was. And then from there, it's been a lot of this. I'm tired. Many times I'm just like, Spirit, I'm tired. Like they're like, you just need a vacation. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go on vacation. Don't underestimate the power of a vacation, getting out of your routine and into a different environment, because life changing, just shift you immediately. So the progress was really that. It was the mental health. It was the physical health. Healing SIBO for me, it was kind of out of left field. I've had gut issues my whole life, but now understanding the connections and the ties to it. Somebody asked me recently, if you do family constellation therapy, why do you ask me about my nuclear family? Why don't you ask me more about my ancestors? Because there's people out there who do ancestral healing and they immediately connect with the ancestors in previous generations. And I was always taught through family constellation therapy that in order to understand your ancestral lineage, your portal to understanding them is through the nuclear family. And you could even say that you go, back a little bit more. By understanding yourself, then you can understand your nuclear family. And then that's the portal to understanding everyone behind them. So there is something to be said for family constellation therapy, how it's not always ancestral in nature in the beginning. The more sessions you do, the more you'll be able to connect with your lineage. And that's why I created the ancestral subconscious meditation, because people want to connect with their ancestors right away. And sometimes in FCT, that takes us a little bit, So creating that meditation allows you to connect with the vibration of your lineage and people in your lineage, instantly. And then you can bring that into an FCT. So it's kind of this like hodgepodge of getting information from multiple different people and timelines and places that are eventually just here to help you. And that's really what we're doing. We're looking at all of this to heal it for you so that you can ripple that healing into your family system. It's like a give and take. Oh, that's what my progress looked like, really. And now, gosh, I think back on like 3 years ago when I really, really started doing this work, and working with my mentor, she used to say, you're going to have big, wild love. You're going to keep your babies. You're going to live a peaceful life, like all the things that my ancestors didn't get. And I always thought back then, like, how is that going to be possible? I've never seen like healthy romantic relationships around me. I've never seen women that get to keep all of their babies, or at least haven't known absolute tragedy when it comes to conceiving and having children on both sides of my family. Like, how am I going to be at peace? I don't know that I've ever really experienced that. I'm going to have a career and be successful. Like, how can that happen without my family? I was so enmeshed in the what if story with my family. And now seeing how I've literally just been so indebted to this work in the best way, my heart has been so in it, and I've believed in the process from day one, that now I look at my life and I think, gosh, she was right. It all works out. You just have to be consistent, and you have to have something to work towards. You have to have something to believe in. And even if you don't actually believe in that moment when you're doing an FCT with me, I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to find true love. I'm going to keep my babies, like all these things. Just by you getting curious about it and wanting it, the desire of it, it opens up some cool portal into you connecting with future you that's like, hey, we're good. Just keep doing what you're doing and you'll get here. You'll meet me here. And then it's like one day you just become them and you're just like, whoa, I never thought this would be my reality. I really, if you showed me my life today, 3 years ago, and said, this is going to be your life, I would be like, you're shitting me. That would literally never happen. Like, how did that even happen? But it did. It did. And I think that's what the beautiful thing is about consistency. You just keep showing up. And you just keep following those little nudges that tell you, hey, you need to go in this direction, or you need to try this, or, family constellation therapy. That's kind of interesting. Maybe I'll just try one and see, what happens. And then that opens a door. And then the next thing you do opens another door. And then the next thing opens another door. So it's like, this is why when I read Same Soul, Many Bodies by Brian Weiss around past life regression and future life progression, I was just so mind blown when he said that you can't measure your success in life or your ability to move forward in life by time itself. What's going to take me 6 months to do this? Oh, it took me 10 years to do that. That's just a human construct on like measuring things. It doesn't actually have any meaning when you're working on a quantum level. It's about measuring your life in terms of when I learned this thing, it's going to immediately open me another door to go into a new thing. And you can do that quickly, especially if you're single and you don't have a dog and I left my job working for my family probably a little too soon, if I'm being honest, but I just knew, I was like, I can't, I've got savings. I'm fine. I'm good. And it took me like a year to really build my business, and start getting clients and feel confident. And, from there it took off, which I'm very, very grateful for. But at the same time, like, it's a whole new reality that you're adjusting to. But it's really just understanding that you're not constrained by time ever when you want to make progress. It's just about following the internal nudges. That's been my progress and learning how to trust myself. All right, let's see. Next question. Do you think it's possible to completely heal all of your trauma in one lifetime? Well, I kind of talked about this earlier in the episode. I don't believe it's impossible not to heal all of it in one lifetime, but it's interesting because my guides immediately came in after reading that and reminded me to tell people, why would you want to do that? That's not why you're here. Just kind of a friendly reminder. as humans, we don't just come back to evolve and grow. I know I say that all the time, and we do, like that we come back to evolve and to grow but we also come back to experience things that you don't get to experience in a light form body, like sex or food or travel or hiking a beautiful mountain. Like it's different on the other side. And so yes, you could obsess about healing your whole life, and I'm speaking from personal experience for the last 4 years. You could obsess about healing and doing everything you need to do and achieving and evolving, but at some point, that's not the reason why we're here. We have to find purpose and meaning and fulfillment in being human, having these human experiences. So, is it impossible? No, it's not. You could totally heal it all in one lifetime if you wanted to dedicate your entire life to doing it and do absolutely nothing else. Would I recommend that? Absolutely not. That's not what we're here to experience. And also too, I think about it this way. You make a blueprint for your life when you're a soul before you reincarnate. I'm going to work on this, this, this. I'm going to come back with this person, and we're going to work this stuff out. But what if there's something about these things that you agreed to do in this lifetime that you need to fully, fully, fully experience, and you would not be able to fully experience them in any other lifetime, and you find healing through that thing, and then whatever you find out in that experience takes you into the next life. I just think there's something about taking our time in a certain capacity when it comes to healing, that there's maybe things that we need to see in the daily human experience that can also be healing, but in a different way. I get the sense that souls are really excited to reincarnate. They miss, delicious pasta, or they miss, the warming hug or embrace of a loved one, or, the empowerment of pushing out a baby, even though it's difficult. Like, I really think it's kind of like the Sims up there where they're just like, we're the soul and the Sims are us when we're on Earth. And we're just like, all of these things, we're going to go do all these things, and so lean into that. If there's resistance to fully living your life, look at the mother wound. Look at your ability to feel safe in living your life, your connection to purpose and fulfillment. That's what I had to do, is deal with the mother wound around that. And it really just made me realize that there are things that I'm here to do differently, and I will do them differently. And I have the ability to do it differently, and I have the privilege to do it differently. And we all have that privilege with ancestral healing. If you do an FCT with me, sometimes I will say, when we're talking to our ancestors, Grandma, please give me the permission to do it differently because I can. I will always honor that you could not do that. Our ancestors want that for us. Our ancestors are not sitting up there going, ugh, she thinks that how dare she thinks that she'd go and have real love when I never got to have that. That's the human ego. That is not the soul. Your grandma's probably sitting up there thinking, gosh, that would be really nice to have. I'd like to have that too. You know what, guide, maybe in my next life, I could have that. Okay. I like that she's doing that. It gives me permission. It's a two-way street. It's so not what we think. Everyone thinks that everyone's like the same up there. It's not the same at all. In fact, it's more loving, more compassionate, more understanding up there, where people get to see things as they really are, not as how they saw it through their human lens with the ego and their own pain and their own trauma. So that's my answer to that question. I could talk about this stuff forever, you guys. It's so much fun. Love these questions. Okay, the last one. Do people's past lives come up in sessions? Yes, they do. More often than I want to admit. I don't always bring it up, to be honest. Sometimes it's just a little intuitive hit. Someone's having a hard time speaking their truth. Spirit will be like, past life thing, But it's not like I'm constantly putting like past life connection on that paper for you. Many times your past life is going to receive the healing that your soul needs from this current life around that theme when you're in family constellation therapy, because it's quantum healing. Time does not exist. You are in an energy field where you're just fully present, and you're shifting and changing and healing things on multiple different timelines and dimensions for multiple different people. You can't logically comprehend it. That's why it's sometimes so exhausting to facilitate and to be a part of, because it's like you can't even understand how much you're shifting in one, cellularly, DNA, epigenetics, energetically, for the soul, for the family system, whoever carries it within their body as well. I mean, happening on so many different levels, which is why it's so powerful. But I don't need to be like past life healing here. Now, there have been a handful of people in my career that I've done readings for, or I've been in a session with, and the past life says, hey, you actually have to put me in the field. For instance, I had a client who I met for the very first time through a friend of a friend. She came to me and she said, I had always felt a connection to my dad's sister. I looked at pictures of her. I would always feel a connection to her. Spirit said she is her dad's sister that passed early from a car accident. So, of course, it's a large responsibility of information to communicate. So I said, something along the lines of like, have you ever felt maybe like you have a soul connection to her? Like she could, and the client said, I actually always felt maybe I was her. Bingo, past life, put it in. There was some theme around the client, her father, and the sister that passed, and she came in reincarnated that we had to navigate and deal with that. There was also another situation coming to mind where a client found me through a podcast I was on. She did a reading with me first. In that reading, her past life said, this is all of the stuff that I really need her to heal in this lifetime. Great, let's do it. Put it on the papers. She came back to me a second time to deal with that past life again. So sometimes things are a little bit more covert, a little bit more like beneficial for the environment, but not necessarily like a direct connection. And sometimes things are very direct. I think it's just, being in the moment and hearing spirit and your soul clearly say, this must be it. And what's interesting is in FCTs and with the intuitive work that I do, I'll kind of get nuggets of downloads and then I'll share it in a very soft way. And I trust that the client is just as in tune with themselves as I am. In fact, obviously more in tune because I'm just meeting this person a lot of times. So I listen to the things that they say. Oh, if I've actually always felt like maybe I was her, or, somebody told, I think the other girl with the sister that passed early, another medium had said to her mom, your daughter is your husband's sister, whatever. So there was like a bunch of confirmation. I have to trust in that stuff. I have to trust in the synchronicities and the consistencies that come up with people in sessions because it gives me confirmation. It gives the client confirmation. This is real. This is something we need to deal with. But past lives are such a fascinating topic for me. I think as I start to kind of lean into discovering more about past lives and reading about them, I can start to kind of pick up on things. Like I'm starting to pick up on people's past life stuff. I'm just always curious about that stuff. So bonus information. If you work with me in an FCT, sometimes it's just FCT and sometimes it's FCT with a little bit of your spirit baby, with a little bit of your past life, with a little bit of an intuitive reading, with a little bit of mediumship. Like it's just, it's all the things. And honestly, I just let it flow because it's so fun. It's obviously, my job, but my job is fun to help people and to channel this information. So that's my answering your guys' questions. Now, I do have a really big announcement that I want to share with you. Really big announcement. As of this week, I am announcing a brand new free offering called the Cycle Breaker Archetype Quiz. And this is a really, really exciting announcement because it is free and it is a really supportive tool to help you understand the role that you have in your family system. Again, why would you do that if you do ancestral healing? You need to understand you and focus on you before we go into your family system. How are you repeating the trauma? Now, there's 5 different archetypes. There's the comedian, the rebel, the hyper-independent, the parentified child, and the caregiver. I've narrowed all 5 of these down because of all of your guys' feedback you gave me on my stories a few months ago when I asked you, what role do you feel that you play in your family system? It's a free quiz. I'm going to link it below. Take it. Take it and share it with me. Screenshot it, put it on your stories and tag me or DM me and share with me the results that you get. You're not only going to get results of what role you hold in your family system, I'm going to send you a private podcast episode that no one else has access to except for you for taking the quiz based on your results. And I'm going to give you words of advice, how to navigate being that role in your family system, a spirit animal. I'm going to give you a ton of information and it's all free for use. Head to my quiz link below in the show notes. Take that. Give me feedback. Let me know how it feels to get your results and if it resonates and if it doesn't. I've got a ton of new updates and announcements and launches happening in July before I head to Europe for a few weeks in August. So if you're not following along, follow me on Instagram, follow me on TikTok, follow me on YouTube. I'm also announcing a brand new website towards the end of the month as well, which will have a bunch of new features as well. Stay tight with the community here. Stay and follow along for all of the things that I'm going to be releasing. I've been working really hard on them for the last 3 months, and I'm so excited to share them with you guys. So go take that quiz. And then also another free offering for you. Don't forget to rate, subscribe, and review the podcast. Screenshot all of that and send it to me on Instagram in my DMs to enter your name and to win a free 2-hour FCT with me. And if you're still new here and you're like, all right, I still don't know what FCT is, go listen to episode number 52 and we'll tell you all about it and all the content I've been posting on social as well. So thanks for being here. Thank you so much for asking these questions. They were amazing. If you ever have more questions, DM me on Instagram or email me with them, and I would always be happy to take time to answer them for you. And it makes for great podcast content too. So I'll see you guys next Tuesday on the next episode of the Heal with Kat podcast. Thanks for being here.